The Dallas Cowboys just can't catch a break these days, so we have some major injury reports to discuss here. And spoiler alert, they don't look too great ahead of Sunday Night Football against the San Francisco 49ers, so we'll have that and much more on this episode of Cowboys Digest. Welcome in, everybody, to Cowboys Digest. I'm your host, Peter Vryonis, and today we'll be breaking down the injury reports surrounding the Dallas Cowboys. But before we get into all of this, I want to let you know that a large percentage of you watching these videos are not subscribed to the channel, so go ahead, hit that sub button. It's free, doesn't cost you anything, and it helps me out a ton. We're close to my goal of 2,000 subscribers, and it'd mean the world if we could get there before the game tomorrow, because I will be active as I am on every Cowboys game day. But guys, let's not waste any time here. Let's take a look at the full practice report from today. For Sunday, ahead of Sunday. So we don't have the Friday participation yet. I guarantee that we will get that out soon. However, let's go through the list here. Brandon Aubrey, who has been selected for jury duty, as if the Cowboys season wasn't enough of a circus. Brandon Aubrey is now on jury duty. He is expected to play on Sunday. His participation on Sunday is not in jeopardy whatsoever, but it's just funny that he's missing practice for jury duty. I guess if any Cowboy player can miss practice, it is Brandon Aubrey, because he's probably been their best player all season long. DaRon Bland still hasn't participated at all whatsoever. Kalen Carson was a full participant. He should be back. Ryan Flournoy limited. Eric Kendricks limited, which is nice to see him back in practice. He should be back on Sunday against the team that he almost signed with in the San Francisco 49ers. Leofau is also a full participant. Micah Parsons, this is the one that is worrying to me, still has not participated in practice since. Jordan Phillips, who is eligible to be reinstated from the injured reserve list, has been practicing. Now, will he be back? Maybe, but he didn't play too well before he actually went down with that injury. So I don't know if the Cowboys want to give him another shot here. I don't think they have anything to lose, because the defensive tackle position hasn't really been occupied by any world beaters. So I would go back to Jordan Phillips if it calls for it, if the situation calls for it. Then John Stevens as well, who suffered a torn ACL in practice on Wednesday. Sucks because he had some upside, but he's going to miss the rest of the season. Nick Vigil, he did not participate in Thursday's practice. And the one that I want to get to really is Micah Parsons, who did not practice, and it's making it unlikely that he'll be able to recover in time for Sunday night's game against the 49ers. Now, the Niners are going to be without a lot of their guys as well, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Deebo Samuel has a chance of playing, but it doesn't look too likely. Brandon Ayuk out for the season. You have Christian McCaffrey, who's not yet ready to come back. So they're going to be running the football, and the Cowboys have had a tough time against the run this season. There's no doubt about that. Jordan Mason, he's had a couple of great games, a couple of not so great games, but he is a power back. He is someone that is going to pick up yards and do it in bunches for the 49ers against this weak Cowboys defense. So that's going to be a tough one there. That's why you need all hands on deck, and the fact that you're not going to have Micah Parsons most likely for that matchup makes it a little bit tougher. Hopefully you could get Eric Kendricks back so he could stuff some of those gaps. And DeMarvion Overshown, I've liked what I've seen out of him. Hopefully he can get a little bit more burn here going forward. But the Cowboys are going to be shorthanded yet again, which is why I'm titling this video, They Can't Catch a Break. They really cannot catch a break, and that's the way that it's been all season long. Injury after injury after injury, bad play after bad play, great performance followed up by a awful performance. It's just been a season of weirdness and inconsistency for the Dallas Cowboys, and I'm sure a lot of fans saw this coming because of the lack of moves that were made in the offseason and the unwillingness by Jerry Jones to go ahead and make any moves concerning the roster or the coaching staff for that matter. But let's get into the next thing here. Good news, Brandon Cooks on the cords as he comes back from a knee issue. Not so good news, DaRon Bland not taking part in practice. So I was expecting DaRon Bland to be back against the Detroit Lions. And that wasn't the case either. I really thought that he was going to be back, and that's what the media was gearing us up towards but it ended up not being the case, and now DaRon Bland is in danger of missing Sunday night's game against the San Francisco 49ers as well. He hasn't participated in practice, as you see here, did not participate. Back-to-back practices. Today is going to go a long way towards determining who we're going to see on Sunday and who we aren't going to see on Sunday. But right now, it's not looking good for a lot of the playmakers on the defensive side of the football, which are Micah Parsons and DaRon Bland as well. Hopefully, Kalen Carson can come back. He's been up and down as well. Got stiff-armed by Derrick Henry. That is the last memory we have of him in a Cowboy uniform ever since going down with injury. But there are guys that need to come back in order for the Cowboys to win some football games. And Sunday could honestly make or break the season. If I'm being totally honest with you guys, I think Sunday is a must-win. And if you don't beat the San Francisco 49ers in their current state right now, with all the injuries that they're dealing with the underperforming that they've had all season long, then you are in serious trouble. And I mean serious trouble of not making the playoffs and falling totally out of the race 8 weeks into the season. And I guarantee you Jerry Jones does not want that to happen because his pockets are going to be hurting if that's the case. So the Cowboys need to find some sort of recipe here. And I think the best way to do that is try to run the football. Even if it doesn't work, stick with the run. Try to have long established drives against the Niners because you don't want to put the game in the hands of your defense. That is what is going to put you in trouble if you're the Cowboys, if you rely on your defense to win this football game on Sunday night. So the recipe for me, run the football like we saw them do against the Pittsburgh Steelers in Pittsburgh. It was an ugly night, I get that, and you pretty much had to run the football because you were going to have a tough time passing it. The Cowboys didn't have a tough time moving the ball. They had a tough time in the red zone against the Steelers, but what allowed them to have some open looks and what allowed Dak Prescott to make those throws down the stretch of the game was the fact that Rico Dowdle rushed for 87 yards. And he was a factor, catching out of the backfield, breaking off a lot of big runs, whether it was 10, 12 yards. He was able to pick up first downs and sustain long drives for the Dallas Cowboys. That was why they had success in that football game. It was a lot closer than it should have been, don't get me wrong. But the fact that the offense was able to stay on the field allowed the defense to be fresh and make more stops than we've seen them make all season long. That was their best game of the season. Even though Dak had a couple of turnovers in the red zone, I don't really look at that. I look at the overall team performance, and the defense was really good that day because the offense allowed them to not have to be on the field all night long. So to me, the recipe is simple. Run the football, stick with the run. It wasn't working against Pittsburgh either in the first half. It was not working whatsoever. So run the football, stick to that game plan, and allow your defense to stay off the field. And getting Tyler Guyton back, who is supposed to be back on Sunday, as the left tackle, maybe that'll help in getting the run game going. I know he didn't look great. He hasn't looked great all season, but this is a process, and this is going to be a long process for him, learning a new position. He was a right tackle in college, and now he's playing an entirely different position against much better athletes, so I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I want to see a little bit of development here. I want to see him be able to contain those good pass rushers that the San Francisco 49ers have. It's not going to be an easy task. I expect a lot of pressure on Dak Prescott, but that is why you have to stick to a game plan. You have to play your heart out if you're on that offensive line, and you need to do your best to keep that offense on the field. Because putting the game in the hands of this defense is not a recipe for success. And I don't want to sound like a broken record here, but that is the game plan. That is the recipe for success. Stay on the field. Keep the ball for 5 to 8 minutes at a time. That is how you're going to win this football game. That is how you're going to give yourself a chance to win this football game. I'm not going to go out there and make some proclamations that the Cowboys are going to win if they stay on the field for this X amount of time. But you give yourself a much better chance if you have long, sustained drives, and that all falls on the offensive line. I've been very critical of that unit all season long. I said that they are the biggest issue of the Cowboys right now. You could point to the defense all you want, but they're not expected to be dominant. The offense is expected to be dominant with two of the highest paid players in the league. But in order for them to flourish, You need to protect better if you're the offensive line. Tyler Guyton has to be better. Cooper Beebe has to be better. Tyler Smith has been great. Zach Martin needs to play like a Pro Bowler yet again if this team wants to have any chance of winning on Sunday or even making the playoffs going forward. So that is the recipe. Stay on the field if you're the offense. Stay off the field if you're the defense. And in order for that to happen, the offensive line needs to protect. And Tyler Guyton, hopefully, is going to be a big part of that. And hopefully we can get some good news on DaRon Bland and maybe Micah Parsons today as we head into a Sunday Night Football matchup against the San Francisco 49ers. But that'll wrap it up for this episode of Cowboys Digest, guys. Thanks so much for making it this far. And again, thank you for bearing with me. Again, the voice is not where it needs to be at, but hopefully I am back to 100% for game day on Sunday night. And until tomorrow, go Cowboys.